It's the first Monday of the month, and that means it is a motivational Monday. Now, this is our third installation of having Miss Carolyn Benjamin on the show. And it's been a little while. August wanted to have an extra week, so we had 5 Mondays in August, so September came a little later.
It did.
It's nice to have you on the show for Labor Day.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, indeed. So we're always talking about motivational Mondays.
Yes.
Your shirt, of course, says today I chose joy.
Today I chose joy.
Yeah, so there's different ways of how you reach joy, and obviously choosing joy could be a battle when you're going through tough things. And I wanted to talk to you today about something that actually just was the 17th anniversary in August. You probably know what I'm talking about with Hurricane Katrina, and that really affected you in a way that, I mean, I could never really quite understand. Kind of tell people your story with Hurricane Katrina.
You know, it's interesting because when I realized that, started getting a couple of calls and messages from people, you kind of put things in the back of your head. But we were just sitting. We knew the weather was going to be bad. Most of the time, we never evacuated. But this particular time, I felt like it was one that we had to leave for. My husband, on the other hand, didn't necessarily believe that. And so for about an hour, I ran around the house chasing him, saying, we've got to leave. If we don't leave, this is going to be really bad. And so we did. Didn't know when we would be able to come back. It was probably about 6 months before we could actually get back into the community. And it was devastating. It was devastating to see how things were. It was interesting how quickly people began to come together. And so Red Cross was one of the first people on the scene with us, and so many other organizations. Christian Mission was one of those. A lot of the local churches, First United Methodist, they just were ready. And this was the first time that anybody had ever done anything of this magnitude. When you go through something like that, it's difficult because you don't know when you're going to be able to get back home or what it's going to look like. And so for me, it was making sure that my children were okay, and that it was not going to affect them. It was going to have an effect, but it wasn't going to be long term. And so I think the one big thing I took out of there was the generosity and the compassion of people. And how in our most desperate times we can come together. Yes,
and sometimes choosing your own joy, you kind of
choose your own joy.
Lean on others to help you get there as well.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a solo
Absolutely.
battle.
Absolutely.
So now you live in Enterprise now.
I do.
Is that something did you move to Enterprise?
We actually have family in Geneva, and so my Uncle David and my Uncle James said, come down. The blessing in that was I didn't know at the time that my Uncle James was lonely. And so now he had these 3 teenagers there who were going to occupy his time, and so he was thrilled. And, you know, I stayed in Enterprise, and my husband was in New Orleans. And he would come back every month via train. And so it was interesting. It was like having a boyfriend. I say that all over again. But it was lonely, too. It taught me a lot of things about myself. It taught me how to rely more on God than I ever had. And it was an opportunity for me to kind of flourish. And so I brought Women Who Care with me, and I was able to do that, and great things were able to come out of that. I was able to help other people because I was here during the, I think it was 2007 tornado in Enterprise. Was able to be a part of some groups that were helping people through that process. And so it makes you a little bit more compassionate when you've already been through something like that.
And for you to see firsthand of how people took you guys in.
Absolutely.
So you did return it sevenfold. So
absolutely.
Real quick before we go, just kind of give one piece of advice for people. Obviously, Hurricane Katrina, for thousands of people, completely ruined and changed people's lives, but there's a way to come out of that. And for you, obviously, you're a living definition of what it means to choose joy. So
absolutely.
How can people live through something like that,
you know,
even on a smaller scale?
It doesn't, you know, whatever it is, it seems like when you're in the midst of it, it is so big. But I promise that it will get better. It will get better. You know, we were talking about me having some issues, and I've, for the last month and a half, have quietly dealt with an ulcer, stomach ulcer, that will not leave me. It has become my friend, and a back muscle issue. But I'm still trying to find joy even in those things. So it's a choice. We have a choice. So this morning, why don't you choose joy?
Yep, and don't be afraid to lean on others to get there.
Absolutely.
All right, well, Ms. Benjamin, again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Now, next Monday, or the first Monday of next month, won't be as such far of a wait, so we'll have you on in no time.
Thank you.